episode of Heavy in the Paint. It's the NBA playoffs, and they have been fantastic. And when you have exceptional playoffs taking place, you got to get exceptional people to break it all down. This is a gentleman who's a former UCLA, he's still a UCLA Bruin. He is a former NBA player and now currently ascended all the way up. He is the color analyst for the Houston Rockets, Mr. Ryan Hollins. Ryan, have you gotten a gold tooth yet?
I don't have a go-to. I do not. I might need to get a grill. They're temporary. You can put them in, take them out. And G, man, look like you done lost some weight, man. I don't know what you going
it ain't
vegan
no
something, man?
It ain't no
Hey, man, what you been in? Nah, man, you been in them streets. You better stay off them streets, man. Too old to be in them streets, man.
Stop,
you got your,
man.
You got him a side piece, man. You got your side piece. What you doing losing weight for, man? You got cologne on? Hold on, man. You wearing cologne losing weight? Come on, man. Hold on, G.
I'm going across
see the neck bones, man.
You done lost. Hey, you done put a little mustache on. I'm gonna say you done changed the hair. See, you used to have a California curl. Now you just going down getting back. You know what I'm saying? You getting grimy and stuff like that. Putting the do-rag on. I see you.
I figure I'd say something to you before you say something to me, man.
I'll just tell you this. I still got the photos of that pink suit, man.
Oh my gosh.
Ryan, let's get right to it, man. These NBA playoffs, I gotta say, have been unbelievable. And I want to get your thoughts and opinions on the fact is that, listen, Minnesota has been obviously the talk and how they have played thus far in these NBA playoffs. How much hope does it give to young teams like we witnessed Minnesota, but also let's take a step further, Orlando Magic, who basically last year weren't even in the play-in tournament, sniffed it, tried to get to the play-in tournament, didn't make it. Then you turn around, you have Oklahoma City and Minnesota with teams that were playing tournament teams a year or two ago, and now they're ascended into being, perennial playoff teams in this year's playoffs. How much hope does it give to a franchise that you've covered this season and the Houston Rockets, knowing that this could be them next year if everything breaks right?
Man, for one, we were a pinch away from getting into the playing this year, and with Ime Udoka, man, he's absolutely amazing. I watched him get the most out of every single player on that roster, and the proof is in the pudding, Gerald. There's so many players that had career highs in different areas. Fred assisted turnover, career high. Dylan Brooks 3-point percentage. Aaron Holiday 3-point percentage. A lot of guys just excelled in their roles. So Houston very well could be a team that could go is promising to watch the Orlandos and OKCs and teams that the Rockets are going pound for pound with this year and beating this year, to potentially be in that situation. But Gerald, the bigger storyline that I see, and I don't know how you feel about this, is somebody's legacy is going to get built. And I don't want to say I'm tired of it because I like to see where legends are born. But, when Curry won that last championship, we were like, Steph was already great. LeBron won the bubble championship. The LeBron haters said what they said, but I felt like LeBron's legacy was already really cemented, man, as the greatest, if not one of the greatest, clearly to ever play the game. But this year, somebody is going to take that next step. It could be Jason Tatum's first championship. It could be Nikola Jokic saying it wasn't just a hot year, man. I'm really here. I'm this dude. I'm not just the MVP. I'm a postseason MVP too. I'm a finals MVP. Whether it's OKC, whether it's Luka's going to be certified down there in Dallas, somebody is going to take that huge step to their legacy. As Gerald, we're all fishing to see who's the next face of the NBA going to be. Because right now, whether you love it or hate it, it's still LeBron James. It's not Curry. It's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's not even with this man outside the playoffs. The face of the NBA is LeBron James, and you got to give him that respect. But I think if somebody steps forward and wins a championship this year, they're getting ready to ascend to that next step.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Jokic, and let's be honest. I've tried so hard not to be a prisoner of the moment, but it's very impressive what Anthony Edwards is doing. Are you buying into this talk already that we could see the comparisons with MJ? Is that too soon? I think it's too soon, Ryan. I really believe it because I was a prisoner in a moment when I saw Giannis and what he did against Phoenix that year, and I said it's Giannis's league. People are already saying this about Anthony Edwards, but it's kind of you know. On one hand, I'm like, you know what? I mean, it's too soon. But then on the flip side of that, he's only 22 and he's playing like a veteran that understands the importance of playing both sides of the court. When you look at him, are you seeing the comparisons to MJ?
I definitely do.
Mm.
And when you think about Anthony Edwards and Michael Jordan, you got to think about your DNA as a hoop fan. We like what we like. We all like Mike. We grew up to Mike. Then after we had Mike, we were so spoiled to have Kobe Bryant. And the reason I say that is the Minnesota Timberwolves are built like a throwback basketball team. They have a traditional center. He don't shoot no threes. He blocks shots and dunks. And then they have two power forwards who kind of spell and they play really, really big. They like to defend. And then Anthony Edwards is used to talking trash, dunking the basketball, and getting buckets. So in that same respect, he fits the closest thing in the mold of what we've grown up and loved out of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and those guys. So the comfort is there with Anthony Edwards, and this team's success is there. And now if they win, we can really put them on that next plateau. We thought it was going to be Ja Morant. The things, they're going to have to shift around in Memphis. Then he gets injured. He has off the court stuff. Zion Williamson, not healthy when you need him most. And he's so young to be missing this much amount of time. So it's looking like Anthony Edwards is going to end up being that guy.
Yeah. How surprised? I say more than ever, and I know I mentioned this about it. How good is it for the league as we, obviously the transition is happening with LeBron James, who's winding his career down. But how gratifying is it for the NBA that we can have an Oklahoma City Thunder team, we can have Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers, we can have a Minnesota Timberwolves team, Dallas Mavericks retooled with these young, exciting teams. And then on the cusp, coming slowly but surely, we had the Orlando Magic, as I mentioned, but also San Antonio. How good is it for the league to see these young teams blossoming in these NBA playoffs? Indiana Pacers, I'm sorry.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing, G, because from a league standpoint, every game is competitive. And I wouldn't say, hey, I'll call him out for what it is. I think Kawhi Leonard has been injured. I think he's been doing a heck of a job playing through his injury and getting the most out of just what he has in his body. But he was supposed to kind of take that next step as a face of the league. He didn't want to do the PR. He didn't want to do those things. It's not his personality. It's not who he is. And then he's so darn good. He has the talent to be on any given night the best player on the floor. No one can question that out of Kawhi Leonard. So the competitive nature, because Kawhi Leonard had missed games, so many games, also by choice, the competitive nature of the league had been questioned. And I bring that into relevancy with the playing tournament, with this youth movement that you just talked about, where the competitive nature of the NBA is astronomical, it's through the roof. And each and every fan base can probably step in, G, and say, we have a legitimate shot to win a championship. We have a legitimate shot to compete. If the ball bounces the right way, we can be right there in the thick of things. And you got to ask yourself in the next 2-3 years, what is the league going to look like? It's not just going to be, Curry on one side, LeBron James on the other side, year after year after year. We're seeing a change in the guard. So I'm absolutely right on point with you. It's exciting times. And I think the answer to that question of why we're starting to see this is obviously legends can only dominate for so long. They're getting older, but the skill set of the NBA is raising. So where, the sixth or seventh man on a roster can hit shots like a superstar, because these guys go out in the summertime and they work on this, where it wasn't just the elite of the elite that hit those tough shots. Man, you got everybody got dribble, step back through the leg, step back from three in their game or in their bag. A lot of guys have had that type of game, man. You forgot the Sacramento Kings are exciting. They took a little bit of a dive this year, but they're right there. So the skill set of the league is growing. The big men are catching up, and obviously the legends are finally starting to get a little bit older, G.
How important do you think it is for the NBA for the Knicks to be relevant and go deep in the playoffs?
It's everything. when the Knicks or the Lakers, with all due respect to my Rockets, those are the two teams that you look at and you say when they're good, it's good for the sport. We grew up watching the Knicks and the Lakers and the Pacers and the Bulls on TV. You know what I'm saying? So it's just huge for New York City. It is what it is. Hey, I play for the Clippers. We would have had to have a couple decades of dominance before we could overtake the Lakers. It is what it is. So you gotta respect it. But I think it's huge for the Knicks to be in play. I was talking about this other day. Somebody asked me if the Knicks could win a championship. I said no, it'd be very much a long shot. I would not count on them to win a championship. But I also threw in if there was any year for the Knicks to win a championship, this is it. Giannis was injured. Lillard is injured. Hey, Porzingis goes down for Boston. He's got some injuries. And for the Knicks, man, they could be right there in the thick of things, or at least at a worst case scenario, come out the East. And Knicks fans, they're already throwing a celebration right now. So to answer your question, it's great for the league. It's something that you want to see, and it's been a long time coming. So hats off to the Knicks, the Timberwolves, the Orlando Magic, for a lot of these teams getting back in competitive games, and looking for my Rockets for sure to be in that mix moving forward.
Yeah, Ryan, when you look as a former player and you know the history of what that playoff basketball and defense and grinded out possessions used to look like, as a former player, what were your thoughts and how pleased were you at the effort that the Minnesota Timberwolves put forth in Game 2 against Denver in the semifinals?
Man, I was ecstatic because they did it on the defensive end of the floor. When's the last time we seen the team come out and win on the defensive end? And what I said is that the Nuggets got out-nuggeted. That's how they kind of win games. We look at Joker and his triple doubles and the passing and all that, but like they outwork teams. They're bigger than teams. And then the Nuggets are a team that you saw. They were the Nuggets are not as big as the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are bigger than the Nuggets. So that was a big thing that we were able to see. So I think it's huge, but the way that they won, I don't think anybody saw that coming. I don't think anybody saw that. And I got to see the Timberwolves firsthand, but when I saw that, man, I mean, they're lights out, man. They are lights out, and they're big, G. They're big. You get by McDaniels, and then you got Rudy on the backside. Then Rudy checks out, and you got Naz Reid. So they're huge, man.
Do you think that, obviously, Ryan Hollins, Houston Rockets color analyst, joining me here in the heavy in the paint? When you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, and obviously in football, we witness this a lot of times. People do the RPO, and you see teams do a wildcat. It's a copycat league. When you look at the success that the Minnesota Timberwolves have had in terms of saying, look, size really matters, do you think that we'll perhaps maybe get back to a point where you can have a perennial 6'10", 6'11" guy playing the 4 and a 7-foot guy playing the 5 and eliminate small ball? Do you think that we could be headed back to an era where you had bigs all across the court and size really mattered as opposed to pace and space?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a couple of years ago. The only difference is the big guys are going to be skilled. You're just going to have to be a basketball player. Look at Joel Embiid. He steps out and shoots threes. It's welcome now. Everybody's like, you need to get in the paint, Joel. And Joel's like, shoot, I shoot threes better than Maxey. I'm going 9 out of 10 from 3. So I think the skill level of the big guy is going to advance. I think that the game, ironically, is getting back more traditional. This was the first call-in during the season where they were like, yo, hold on. Where the traditional point guards at? Phoenix was like, yo, we need a point guard, like a traditional point. So I think the traditional point's going to come back. The big is going to come back. And because these big guys are allowed to use their skills, so you're just going to have inside-outside capabilities in the game. But I think at the end of the day, it evens out because the size is going to come back into the game. And that's honestly how we just talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves are built. But the big guys are absolutely making a comeback, man.
Yeah. When you look at Boston, is this the year that they could be vulnerable? And is it a combination of a lot of rest? They really, just be honest, they coasted through the season. I'm not saying that negatively, but they were, again, very healthy and obviously a very complete team. In fact, I'd like to say they were the most complete team in the league. But when you look at them, is this the year, if there was a year, that maybe that they could get picked off, especially now with this Porzingis injury?
Unfortunately, in terms of Boston, this has just been their identity. We get really excited about them, we get all pumped up, and then it just doesn't work out, And you got to think this is a team that also hasn't been through the fire before. You got Drew Holiday there, and you got no Marcus Smart anymore. You got Porzingis who's injured as you noted, but there are a couple of new guys there that they haven't been through the fire with, and just unfortunately, in Boston, that's a team that's been very up and down. G. So I mean, listen, out of the teams that I saw this season that stood out, Timberwolves stood out, Boston stood out, and Nuggets clearly stood out when they can kind of flip a switch and you go, there's levels to this. But at the end of the day, you hit it right on the head. That's a team that you will put on upset alert, but you cannot deny their talent, man. Because when they get rolling, they're really darn good. But the problem is they depend on a lot of one-on-one. And if Tatum and Brown aren't cooking, or you can find a way to defend those guys, you have bodies to throw at them. They will struggle offensively. They'll struggle in the series.
Yeah. And before we wrap up, man, and I want to say that, I always commend you because your level of professionalism, your level of humility, you're very relatable. And, I'm always, I admire, your grit and your work ethic. And I'm so happy that things, continue to work out for you. Why do you stay this way? And why do you not let yourself go and just, become like a person that's, I'm disinterested in associating with people that's not in that space that I'm in?
Say that again. G is chopping up, is doing a robot thing. I heard you at a little bit at the end.
Okay, well, I'll say it. You know what? Again, you're very humble, and I always admire your work ethic, your humility, and obviously your professionalism, and just to see you grow in this business and stuff. Talk about what the experience was working with the Houston Rockets and being that play by play, the radio, television color analyst, and covering this team. What was the experience like from you, and what did you take away from that?
Man, I had a blast. It's just a tour, man. I don't know. It's like going back to a high school reunion, man. Like what I get to see a lot of my former teammates before the game, former coaches, bosses, hang around the game, mentor these young guys. It is like I'm spoiled to have the job that I have because it's getting when you play in the NBA a lot of times, G, you don't get to enjoy it, man. You're trying to just do your best. You're grinding, trying to feed your family. It's the most competitive thing ever. Every night you go to bed, you think about somebody trying to take your job. I get to sit back and relax. I get to sit back and be a fan. I get to see the young talent in the game. I get to talk to these guys, man, and see it up close. I get to just be a fan, dude. So it's an absolute blast. And for me, I always recognize that, man. I'm just thankful to be here. I'm happy to be here, G. I know how rare it is just to make it to the NBA and a chance to just hang around and be a part of the amazing things going on. So it's fun for me, and I really love the sport. Like, G, we sit and talk basketball, and ain't no show going on. Like you can't do what we do. We don't love what's going on. So, man, I have a blast from that standpoint, and you know how we get down, man. So I'm thankful and so appreciative.
Yeah, I'm just mad at you. The fact is that you never threw that soda on Rick Mahorn when you saw him. I told you I was gonna give you $100 if you just threw that soda on Rick Mahorn. I told you.
Yeah,
He posted that.
Rick,
Go punch him in his table.
you talking about being in the streets? Rick done lost about 100 pounds, man. Young boy fit them old suits. He ain't been able to wear them. I don't know the last time you saw Rick. He ain't moving great, but he looked great. Rick looked good, man. He done lost some weight. I said, hey, man, what you doing? He's sitting there eating fish. He's eating fish and greens, man. Get out of here, Rick.
Hey, Rick hair darker than yours and probably darker than that shirt.
That part. That part. Rick ain't weighed that much since he played, man. What's wrong with him,
In
man?
elementary school.
Yeah, man. Looking good out there, man. He got to buy all new suits.
Oh man. What's the summer like for you, Ryan? Are you going to be out at the summer league in Vegas, or are you just doing that, or what is the summer like for you?
Man, I'll probably slide over to Vegas, doing the big three, doing radio with Fox and ESPN, and whatever opportunities come up. So just having a blast, man, enjoying it. G, you know it.
Ryan, hey, listen, man. Always appreciate you, man. Love you, man, and thank you so much for taking this time out, getting the insight on these playoffs. We touched on some teams and stuff like that. OKC, obviously Dallas, and all the excitement and stuff. Before I let you go, who's your picks to get to that finals? Has it changed, or who you like?
I like Boston to come out. If they can't look around and see that this is not their year, at least to come out and compete for a championship, I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. They have everything rolling in their favor. But man, the way that the Nuggets got beat up, man. I don't know if anybody was talking Timberwolves championship. They're gonna be in that mix. They're gonna be on that mix. I don't like the thing that Denver is missing is their bench. Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, they were able to play very big. They were big, okay, with those two additions. Bruce Brown plays a lot bigger than he is. He's a hustler, he's a grinder, he hit threes, he hit shots, he just made plays. They don't have that. They don't have that. They don't have that muscle inside. They're missing that. The size of Jeff Green, able to guard multiple positions. So, man, they're struggling honestly to match up with the Timberwolves. So, man, I like the Timberwolves right now.
Let me ask you this: and when you have a team that gets beat like that, is there any psychological drawback? Is it like anything? Like I always said, I really believe last year with a young team like the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had a nice winning season, 50 plus games, and they were arguably favored in that first round series against the New York Knicks. And the way the Knicks manhandled them, I mean, the physicality, all those different things. I thought the way that they manhandled them going into this season, and even that struggle, and it's not a slight against the Orlando Magic. It just seems like, again, they lost some of their luster, in my humble opinion. When you lose to certain teams and you're handled in the manner that with the Denver Nuggets, does it leave somewhat of a psychological, disadvantage as a player?
You ever been hit in the nose?
Yes.
Somebody hits you in the nose, dog. Somebody, a face shot, a chest shot. Oh, come on, you got blah, blah, blah. When you get hit in that nose, they looking around right now. They surprised and they going, oh man, big fella didn't even play. They going, hold on. When did Cat start playing defense? Cat showing up, having big games in the play. Well, I'll just not to say that Cat's not a baller, but Cat is maturing. Where you can rely on him. Cat has defended the best. He's always been a bucket. He's defended the best that I've ever seen defend in his career. They have a defensive culture where you plug and play and you just do your job. And the craziest thing about Minnesota is they're believing. But I would say that stun is very scary. I don't think Nuggets go away without a fight. I wouldn't be surprised if they go on the road and get two straight. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think that it's for the Nuggets are right there. And here's the thing also that I think the deciding factor in this series is going to be is the calf of Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's calf, without him at 100% and him getting harassed, and the Nuggets know it. So what are the Nuggets doing? Harassing, picking up full court, grabbing him, holding, making them have to work, man. They're making them have to work. So I think that's a factor. And the Chris Finch is a dog, man. He's a dog, and he's over there getting things done.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan, appreciate it, man. Definitely talk to you real soon.
Anytime, man. About time. I've been waiting to get back on heavy in the paint, man. We'll do it again, man. Stop playing with me, G. Come on, man.
Ryan Hollins, Gerald Brown. Peace.